Good evening. Hello, and welcome to Western Kentucky's participation in Kentucky's celebration of International Education Week. My name is John Sunnygard, and I'm the Associate Provost of Global Learning and International Affairs here at Western Kentucky. And I am really excited to be kicking off International Education Week, not only for Western Kentucky, but for all of my colleagues across the state. For all of my colleagues across the state. I'm sorry, I think we may have technical issues. Amelia, can you hear me? Well, I'm going to continue on because this is being recorded and we can move through there. So anyway, I'm very excited to be welcoming everyone from across the state of Kentucky. First, I'd like to come out with a little disclaimer because that's what we do. Everything that I say is my opinion and not necessarily the opinion of Western Kentucky University. I am speaking as an international education professional who's been involved with international education for more than 30 years in all different areas. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the direction that we're going to head, but that's my opinion and not necessarily those of the university. Also, we want you to be able to ask questions or make any comments as you follow this. So please go ahead and put questions in the Facebook or in the YouTube Live or however it is that you're watching this, and we'll try to get those to you. If you are watching this as a recording, you can also continue to post and ask questions. Please do so, and we will try to get back to you with answers to your questions. But what I'm here to talk to you about tonight and with you, because this needs to be a conversation that involves many, many people across the state and across the country. But I want to talk specifically about the importance of international education to the state of Kentucky and to Kentucky residences. So I want to start out just by talking a little bit about direct foreign investment, and we'll talk a little bit about exports. No, this is not an economics lecture. I'm not going to put that hat on, but it is very, very important to the economy of Kentucky. Our ability to export the things that we produce and to attract people from around the world to invest in the state of Kentucky so that they can create jobs. And Amelia, there we go, perfect. So the average salary of someone who works at a company that is owned by someone outside the United States is $84,000. That's a pretty good paying job in my book. Direct foreign investment, research only in direct foreign investment, brings $63 billion to the American economy. And as a result of that investment, our workforce has increased by 33%, and it helps us build stronger communities. So let's look at the impact on Kentucky a little more specifically. And what are some of the things that are important about direct foreign investments? When someone makes a decision that they're going to invest a lot of money in someplace far away, they want to make sure that that investment is going to be very successful, that they're going to be there for a long time, that they're going to have a good relationship with the community, and that they're going to develop and enhance the strength of their business. And as you can see, Kentucky has been able to attract more direct foreign investment than all of our neighbors. More than Tennessee, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, and Virginia. That is really impressive. Direct international investment contributes about 8.5% of the WKU economy. And over the last 5 years, employment, Kentuckians working for a company that might be owned outside or jointly in the United States, has gone up by 46%. And that accounts for about 8% of the state's employment. That is really important. And those kinds of investments tend to be very good quality jobs, as you can see, 138,000 workers. Manufacturing, about 75,000 workers in Kentucky. Roughly 54% of all foreign direct investment jobs are in the manufacturing section. So these are really, really good things. But it also helps make us more globally connected as a state, which means that then we attract more direct foreign investment and we can attract more jobs. This is a very good thing. And the countries whose companies are saying we want to invest in you, Kentucky, are Japan, Germany, and Canada, for the most part. But there are 38 different companies from 38 different countries who are investing in Kentucky. So that is a very, very good thing for our economy. But why does somebody from a university talk about direct foreign investment when they're talking about international education? Well, there's one key reason, and that is students. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about international students. You can go ahead and go back, Amelia. I'm going to talk first about international students, and then I'm going to talk about American students. Now, something that probably no one ever thinks about with respect to a university is that universities are actually exports. Universities are very, very important economic drivers for their communities. Ask anyone in Bowling Green or Lexington or up north in Covington about the impact that that university has on their community. And those are very positive impacts. They bring in researchers. They bring in good paying jobs. They attract companies who can hire a workforce. They prepare our population for the future. So it's all about students. But another really interesting aspect about universities is, frankly, they're an export. Every international student who we bring into our university, we are actually exporting. Why do I say that? Well, think of it this way. When you sell something to someone in another country, you're exporting. We are selling higher education to someone in another country. They just take delivery here in Bowling Green, like they would of a Corvette. And that's exactly what they get when they come here to Western Kentucky. They get a very, very fine, sophisticated, high quality educational opportunity. And quite frankly, most international students are paying a very, very high price for that. And they're making that investment knowing that they will be studying in the United States for 4 years, probably 6 years if they do a master's. And most international students come here to do a graduate degree. Many come and stay on to do a PhD. So they're looking at spending about $35,000 to $40,000 a year on their education for the time that they're in the United States. That is a significant investment that those students are making, their families are making in the student, that student's making in themselves. And that student is saying, Western Kentucky University, we know that you're going to deliver that. Or one of the other universities in Kentucky, we know you're going to deliver that. And we're prepared to make that investment in you. So we are also a small center of foreign investment. Now, those students, the vast majority of them, they get their degree, they get some training through a thing called OPT, and then they return to their home country. And they contribute to the economic development of their country. But they leave almost always with a very positive impression of where they came from. So they will help steer investment into places like Kentucky. So it is incumbent upon us, as we host students from around the world, that we welcome them, and that we deliver a high quality education to those students and a meaningful experience in Kentucky and in the United States. And we all, my colleagues here at Western Kentucky, and I know my colleagues around the state, are all doing their very best to ensure that they are delivering a very high quality opportunity to their student, and that they really care about the experience that they have. We all care about what happens with our international students. So we are creating a whole flock of goodwill ambassadors around the world of students who graduate from our universities. So that's a little bit about the international student piece. Now I want to talk about Americans. And this is something that's very meaningful to me. When I was an undergraduate student studying French and international relations, I didn't have the money to study abroad. And that was something that bothered me my entire college career. I went to a great public university, the University of Nebraska, another Big Red. And, I got involved in a lot of things, but I was never able to have that dream of studying abroad because I couldn't afford it. And my life's mission has been to create global learning opportunities for students so that they can make that dream happen, because I know what happens. After college, I went into the Peace Corps and I taught in English in Morocco. I then went to Japan. I taught English in Japan. I had these skills that I developed as a student, and was able to live my dream of living and working in another country, learning about another culture, learning another language. And I have personally grown significantly from that. I've also had the pleasure of working with American students in many different countries around the world, including in England for 5 years, running a study abroad program, and seeing what happens to a student over the course of a semester, what they learn about themselves, what they learn about their country, and what they learn about their own country. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but when a student leaves the United States and they go to another country, absolutely, they learn about that other country. But they learn a lot more about themselves and a lot more about the country they came from and where they came from. And most often they develop a much richer appreciation and understanding of where they came from, as well as the country where they're living. And that, to me, is the most important reason that a student should study abroad. I'd like to talk a little bit briefly, going back to our international students, talk a little bit briefly about the economic impact that those students have on our communities when they come here. I mentioned that, but I didn't share with you the slide that I wanted and the information I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to go back to that. This is an economic analysis that's done by the Indiana University up in Bloomington. And they go through every state and they look at the impact of international students on that state. So in 2018, 2019, which is the last year that they have data, the international students who came here to study in Kentucky contributed $44.6 million to the Kentucky economy. That's what I mean when I'm talking about an export. The economic activity that they had supported 3,195 jobs. Now, let me just say that my office has 15 people in it. So that isn't accounting for that 3,195 jobs. Those students are spending money. They go to restaurants. Some of them buy cars. They're definitely using some other form of transportation. Maybe they're buying a bicycle or something like that. They're living in an apartment or a residence hall or some other place. They're spending money there. They're buying clothing. They're paying for entertainment. They are a part of our community, and they're a valuable economic part of our community. And so that's where that contribution. And that's only 12,776 international students. I know that we can do a lot better than that once we get out of the COVID and we're back in a situation that is more normal and we're standing on both feet. So anyway, that was the piece that I wanted to share with you about the international students. So these students, they're not sponging off of Kentucky, quite the opposite. They're contributing an awful lot to the state of Kentucky. And like I said, when they go back home, they're going to be have very fond memories of what they did here. They'll stay in contact with people in our community, and they may very well decide, you know, I could invest in a plant in China. I could invest in a plant in India. I could invest in a plant in Germany. I think I'm going to put that plant back home in Bowling Green, where I studied. And I've seen that happen many times. So again, back to, and the international students are going through the same experience, learning about their country, learning about our country, as well as, of course, becoming engineers or accountants or business people or public health people or whatever it is that they're studying in the United States. But our American students, let me get back to our American students. The American students who study abroad pursue a rigorous course of study on whatever program that they are studying on. They might be doing a business management course, a public health course, a biology course, a resource management, geology, language. They're learning a lot in that class, without question. But they're also learning how to live in a different place. They're learning how to get along with people who are different from them, with people who have different ways of solving problems. And I like to express it in the ways of different ways of solving problems. Because at the end of the day, what students learn is how the tools that they have in their toolbox from what they've learned in their 20 years of life in the United States can solve some of the problems, but it can't solve all of the problems. They have a hammer, but maybe they need a screwdriver. And when they go abroad, they learn that, oh, there's this thing called a screwdriver, and it will function in a different way from the hammer that I've used in the past. Then they have those two tools. Maybe they develop more. They also learn how people in that country solve problems, how they approach problems. And it will be different from the way that they have learned to approach problems here. That's not good. That's not bad. It's different. But it's nice to have multiple tools in your toolbox to address and solve the problems and accomplish what you're trying to accomplish as efficiently as you can, than it is to try to take a tool that has one use and use it for some other use, because often it doesn't work out the way you'd like it to. And I'm afraid that too often we have that experience because we simply don't understand what's happening and how people think in other parts of the world. And even in a brief experience abroad, a student can get a glimpse into that. And they can get a glimpse into learning, yeah, I'm really good, but boy, I got a lot more to learn. And humility is probably one of the most valuable assets that a person can learn over time and in their life. So study abroad is really good at not only developing the academic skills, but developing what people often refer to as soft skills. Now, people who've been involved in relationships with other people, and I think that is a lot of folks, sometimes getting along with different people and people who are different from you, that can be pretty hard. So learning how to work and deal and communicate and understand and get to a better place, solve a problem with someone who's taking a different approach than you. Well, that's hard. That is very hard. And it takes a lot of listening and observation and humility. I may be right, but I may not always be right. I need to pay attention to how they do things. Learning another language, there are not direct translations in most words between English and another language. Yes, blue is blue. But learning the vocabulary of feelings and of expressions opens up a wide range of different ways of thinking about things. And that's what we get when we send our students abroad. Employers value that. In 2019, of 31 million job postings specifically mentioned skills like communication, leadership, problem solving, time management, critical thinking, cultural awareness, foreign language proficiency, the ability to work with others. People are looking for those job skills. And when you have the opportunity to engage and to learn in another culture, you learn those skills. So I want now just to think a little bit. So we're in COVID. And for the last 30 years, I've been getting on an airplane. Students have been getting on an airplane to go someplace, to go to another country, if leaving the United States, or to come from another country here to the United States and figure out how they're going to settle in, what they're going to do, how they're going to live. Well, we can't get on airplanes right now. It's really difficult, not only, to go across the country, the United States, but it's very difficult to get to another country. And there are countries who are saying, you know what? COVID, we don't want people coming into our country. And there's good reason for that. COVID is a global pandemic. The first reported cases were in China. It exploded in Europe, and it came to the United States, and it's exploded here. It's in India, in Latin America. It's all over the world. It doesn't pay attention to borders. It pays attention to humans. And humans, learning about other humans, can help support and prevent humans from having some of these things happen to them. And can empathize and share and develop alternative trade modalities and so forth, so that people can take care of themselves in their own countries. But one of the things that we've learned, and look at us right now, I'm sitting in my office as the sun sets in Bowling Green, and you're sitting someplace. You're sitting maybe in your dorm room or in your living room or in your home. You may be in the United States, you may be in Bowling Green, you may be on campus, you may be in India or China or the Middle East or someplace else, hearing what I have to say on a little screen or a big screen. We're going to be recorded, so you have the ultimate pleasure of watching me 6 months from now, or hitting the delete button and getting rid of me, and that's fine. So we have this remarkable technology that allows us to break down these borders. And what we're doing in order to prepare for that post-COVID world during COVID is starting to make arrangements for our international students to take some of their courses online with us, for our American students to do some projects or take some courses or do other forms of engagement with students in other parts of the world, so that they don't lose that opportunity to go abroad. But something that's really, really great as well is a plane ticket isn't cheap. Now, our university is very, very supportive of study abroad, and Western Kentucky makes financial aid available and generous scholarships available so that students can realize that dream to go abroad. The United States government backs it up with a Pell Grant so that students can go abroad. We have a Chinese language flagship program here at Western Kentucky. And that gives students more opportunity to go and study Chinese language. Similarly, we have a really strong Arabic language program, and students get scholarship money from the United States State Department, from the Defense Department, to study Chinese and Arabic and other languages, because those skills are really, really important. So we do all we can to make it affordable, but still, buying a plane ticket is a lot more expensive than linking into a classroom or a joint project or some other opportunity to engage with a student, maybe in another language, maybe in English, on a project or on a big question, and so that you can get exposure to some of those different ideas. And that's what we're working on here right now. And that's what this presentation is all about. And that is what International Education Week is all about. And so I'm real excited to talk about just a couple of the things that we have coming up. Following my presentation tonight is going to be a thing called Windows on the World, where some of our students are going to talk about the countries that they come from. Tomorrow, the University of Kentucky, the Confucius Institute, is sponsoring Juju Chang, who is ABC's Nightline host, and she's going to talk about unconscious bias against Asians during the COVID situation. I will be working with some of my colleagues and students after that to talk about Africa and the possibilities of possibly Africa uniting together or not. But it's an opportunity to learn about the fastest growing continent on the planet, and the continent that is going to be generating the most economic activity, the most economic growth, rather, on the planet. So there's tremendous, tremendous interest and potential with Africa. So we'll be talking about that. I know my colleagues at other Kentucky universities, they're going to be highlighting some of their different student groups. They're going to be showing some crafts and traditions and dance and music, and introducing different people from different countries around the world. And then on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock our time in Bowling Green, Kentucky, we are going to be having a virtual alumni event with our alumni around the world. And so, at 8 o'clock in the morning, it might be 8 o'clock at night someplace, 10 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock at night. But it gives us an opportunity to bring everyone together. And again, in a way that we've never been able to do that in the past. So this situation, the COVID, has given us an opportunity to think outside the box, to think differently, to do things differently, so that when we can get back to doing the things that we used to be able to do, we can now do both. And I want to leave you with that the opportunity to engage and to learn from someone from another culture, and for you to learn from someone from another culture, and them to learn from you, is a golden opportunity that we should seize every moment we have to take advantage of that. The world will continue to get smaller, and we will continue to get richer. So I want to thank you all very much for participating. I would love to see your questions if you have any. We have a link here about International Education Week and some of the activities that are going on. And I'm going to shut up so I can listen to you and respond to some of your comments or your questions. So one of the questions that I have is from Ms. Katie Bush Scott. And she's asking, what can Kentuckians do to support international education efforts in our state? Well, here are a couple things that I would suggest you start. And thank you, Katie. It's a great question. First, I think it's really important that people be open to the experience and the kinds of opportunities that are available. I will admit that when I went to England, I thought no student was serious who studied in an English-speaking country. And worse, that you could not have an international experience without going someplace. I was dramatically wrong. British culture and American culture is very, very different. And there is so much that we have to learn. Our language is very similar, but it's often very different, and different enough that it can cause a lot of trouble. So again, encourage people to go and to have those experiences. Be humble about it. Every place you can go, you will learn something. The second thing is to encourage others to take advantage of the opportunity. So tell your friends, think about studying abroad. Come with me to study abroad. Come with me to do a virtual study abroad. And pester us. Pester the heck out of us. I want to do this. I would like to go here. I want to try this. Challenge us. Let's see if we can do the best. We will do the best we can to make that a reality for you. And don't give up. The United States government, and there are inexpensive study abroad programs. The United States government, if you're a good student, has really good money available to support you. Western Kentucky University does a very good job of reevaluating your financial aid to help you realize that dream. We have short programs, we have long programs, and believe it or not, a long program is a really, really good value. We have exchange partners where you pay our tuition. We have shipboard opportunities where you pay somebody else a very large amount of money to get on a boat and travel around the world and see all kinds of different places. There are so many different opportunities available. And every single American fits into those opportunities, whether you're a poor kid or a rich kid. No matter what your color is, no matter what your gender or gender identification is, there is a study abroad program for you. And I promise you, you will be challenged, but you're going to learn from that. So tell your friends. Next question. This is from Mr. Fatin Yarrow, who's an international student. And he's saying international students in the US have sometimes complained about difficulties to engage with American students and Americans at large. What are Kentuckians doing to facilitate that engagement? Well, Fatin, that's a great question. And this is an ongoing, this happens everywhere. I've worked at 3 different universities in the United States, and it's very difficult for international students to fully engage in American society. And I've been there with American students who are trying to really, really engage. Oh my gosh, I've come to England. I want to meet Charles Dickens and whomever. I came all the way here to see that person. People in the country have their lives. They have their friends, they have their circles. And oftentimes, they're not ready to open the door. And so I am asking my fellow Kentuckians and my fellow Americans to open up that door, to have an invite. During COVID, invite them to Thanksgiving. Well, I'm sorry. Invite them to a very small Thanksgiving. Invite them to a conversation at Thanksgiving. Invite them to share something special with you. I promise you. Ask them a question. Where are you from? Well, where is that? What language do you speak? Do you know most international students who are studying here not only speak English, not only speak their mother tongue, but they probably speak a 3rd language. Ask them about that. How do you say this in that language? What's this? What's your favorite food? Here's what I love about food here. So share. Open the door. Please do that. Please help our international students feel welcome. Show them that Kentucky hospitality that we're so famous for. And show them that you care about them here now, and that you'll care about them, coming back in the future, and that you would like to visit them at some time too, because that's what brings us together and makes us stronger. Other questions? or comments? Okay. Well, again, I want to thank you all very much. I hope that you found this insightful or at least interesting. And I hope that you will join us for the rest of International Education Week in learning some more about different parts of the world and things that you can do. But most importantly, I hope that you will welcome an international student to your home, to the campus, your dorm room, whatever, and that you will get on Zoom or on a plane and engage with the world outside of Kentucky. And I promise you, no matter which way you go, your life will be much richer. So again, thank you, merci, shukran, gracias, shishir. Have a wonderful evening, be healthy, and be safe, and go Tops.